Hi guys, I'm Kristen and welcome to Studio Knit. Today we are knitting up this seed stitch infinity scarf, also called a cowl. This is totally beginner friendly, so if you recently completed the Absolute Beginner Knitting Series, then you are good to go. I've designed this scarf in the seed stitch because it holds its shape really nicely and it's reversible, meaning it looks identical on both the right and wrong side. Once we're done knitting it up, we tack the edges together to make a perfect infinity scarf. You can get really creative with yarn choices, mix and match, and just have fun with this basic pattern. For our knitting materials, we are going to be using super bulky yarn. That is number 6, and mine is self-striping. I'll show you a little bit more about the yarn in a minute. And then for our knitting needles, I'm using size 11 US, and they are 14 inches in length, also scissors and a tapestry needle. So I found this yarn, Sprinkle Cakes by CARON, at my local Michael's craft store. I'll have a link to where to purchase it down in the description below. They also have these three other colors right here that you can choose from. Oh, and the yarn that I chose, the color is called Pecan Fudge, and so I just couldn't pass that up. I thought this would be a fun yarn. It's self-striping, which means you don't have to do any work when you're changing colors, and this particular yarn has all these little bits of fuzziness to kind of give it a tweed feel, kind of a nice rustic harvest look, I think. And if you don't have a Michael's store nearby, then I found these really similar yarns that can be purchased through Amazon online. I have a link to the free pattern down in the description below. You can either get it on my website, on the website page, or if you join my mailing list, then you can get this printable PDF. I also have a new knit stitch pattern book for beginning knitters with just knits and purls on my Etsy shop. So if you'd like to check that out, I have the link down below as well. And if you are excited to knit up this infinity scarf, do me a favor, hit like. It really helps me out. And I also have it on Pinterest. The link is down below if you'd like to pin it to your knitting Pinterest board. So let's get started with casting on, and I did the hard work for you here. I am creating my slip knot 40 inches in from the end of the yarn, and if you're using the same weight yarn and needle size as I am, then you are guaranteed to have enough yarn tail if you allow 40 inches before you make this cute little slip knot right here. And we are going to begin by casting on. I'm just using that simple long tail cast on method. And we're going to cast on 27 stitches. Now, if you're choosing to get creative and modify the pattern, that is great. I just want to make sure that you cast on an odd number of stitches, and that is going to help your seed stitch pattern go really easily so that there's not too much thinking. So here I have 27 stitches on my needle, and when you're following the pattern, that means that the width is going to wind up being about 12 inches. Okay, let's knit it up. Now we're doing the seed stitch pattern. If this is new to you, I'm going to show you right here in detail that we begin with knit 1, and then we bring that yarn to the front because it is time to purl. And you'll see in the pattern right there, purl is P1. So this is purling 1 right here. And then within those asterisks in the pattern, that means you repeat. You repeat the K1, P1 between those asterisks. And we're going to do that until we get to the end of our row and we have 1 stitch remaining. And that's why the K1 is after the asterisks. We are just doing 1 last knit stitch at the very end. And because we cast on an odd number of stitches, that means every single row is going to be exactly the same, and you don't have to think. You just start with K1 and then P1, and you're doing this on every single row. So you are definitely going to get a lot of knitting and purling practice in with this project. And then you just knit like crazy. Just keep knitting because we're using self-striping yarn. We don't have to switch up our yarn colors at all. Once you've reached the end of the yarn ball and you have 90 inches remaining, then it is time to finish off our work. And then we're just going to bind off. And this is that super simple basic bind off where you begin by knitting 2 stitches and then bringing that first stitch, picking it up, bringing it over and around, and binding off all the way down the row until you reach your final stitch. And at that point, we take our tapestry needle and just slowly remove your knitting needle. You'll go ahead and finish it off by threading your yarn right through that last loop right there. And now we're going to tack together the cast on edge and the bind off edge. So get your tapestry needle, and I'm doing the mattress stitch, and you just take it through one end and then through the other end, and you just keep repeating it end to end in this manner until you have tacked together both of those edges all the way up to the very top, and then just weave in your ends. And because I have these yarn colors here, I have the gray that I finished off with, I'm going to do sort of a creative diagonal weaving in of my ends. Cut off your yarn and you are done. I just wanted to remind you that you will need to weave in the end from the beginning point of your project, and you can do that at any time. I hope you are inspired to knit up your very own seed stitch infinity scarf. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye!